All right, it's 5:40 PM. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. May I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Before we move into the superintendent's report, I think we have a recognition tonight on somebody's birthday.
I'm 40 today.
You made it.
Birthday.
You made it.
I will ask one of the staff members to lead us in a chorus of happy birthday, maybe Dale.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Gracious me. Oh, Michelle, who sings in the church
Michelle,
choir.
that'll be great.
Do that. Ready?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday,
Dr. Davis.
Happy birthday to you. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you so much. We had a great day at retreat. They surprised me with a hat and a boa and a wand. I'm going to wave it and see if it starts making money for us. Thank y'all.
All right, superintendent's report.
Okay. Tonight on the superintendent's report, we have our facilities and operations report. Mr. Bailey,
Yes, ma'am.
several things going on.
Several things running on in our operations report. Multi-purpose athletic facility, we are at 43% complete. We're doing roofing panels, side metal panels now, matching up some of the brick, to the existing structure. So that's what's going on in that facility. If you notice under that section also, when we had discussed, budgeting different items, weight equipment, things like that, we had got an original quote of $78,000 on the weight equipment for the multi-purpose room and the girls' locker room. And then when we looked at everything again, Coach Moore, Mr. Hawkins, Mr. Beasley, and I met with a BSN representative, and to outfit everything that we needed to put in the girls' locker room, everything that we needed to put in the multi-purpose facility, that price came in at $22,000 over what we had initially budgeted. Now just remember, we had $140,000 contingency built into the project. So with that addition and everything that we've got in that contingency fund, like the security cameras, the video still cameras, the fire alarm system, that's probably going to run us to about $32,000 over that contingency. We still have a long way to go on the project, and we're looking at ways, every way we can, save a dollar here, save a dollar there, cut things in and out. That's still what we're trying to do. Without having to go above what we already laid out in that contingency fund. On that project, do you have any questions first?
So you're saying we're going above our contingency? We're not under the cushion of it?
With this, it's going to bump us over what the contingency is. Coach Moore, do you have anything you'd like to add about the weights?
Well, one of the reasons, and I think it was I think we just overlooked it, but one of the reasons that it went over was the girls, the female athletic renovation had no weights bid in it. And so we wanted to make sure we met the needs of our female athletes as well. And so we went ahead and had that put in with our latest quote from BSN. We did get that back, but we want to make sure we had adequate equipment for that, and that came to about 11 or 12,000. So that's really what pushed it up. But we want to make sure that everybody had the same equipment in both facilities.
We ended up being 10 over on the multi-purpose side and 11 over on the girls' locker room. We were pulling some equipment out to put in the girls' locker room, but when we met, we just felt we needed to meet the needs of everyone versus not doing it right the first time.
And did we talk about when we did our walkthroughs back in March, we actually were going to put some of that equipment at the middle school?
Yes, ma'am. We are going to relocate some of that existing weight equipment.
I
believe
thought
the
so.
single rack.
Some of that's already been done.
Okay.
Also, we've taken a lot of our equipment already over.
Because it was lacking. I thought I remembered that.
Any additional questions on that multi-purpose facility before we move on? Comprehensive facilities analysis, we will start that on July 6th. We still haven't got a firm date on the mechanical, but we're going to start the electrical, the HVAC, and everything else, and then mechanical's going to catch up on us on the back end. Summer painting, we walked through the middle school yesterday. Everything is complete with that project. He's doing one additional thing to the front of the building that Ms. Kinsey and I walked through that he's gonna change. But other than that, that project is 100% complete once he makes that change. That's everything, locker rooms, weight rooms, classrooms, hallways, interior, exterior, everything there.
They've done a good job.
Yes. The summer painting at the primary school, we're ahead of schedule on that. They've got most of the wings completed. They're on the front wing, and then they have the cafeteria, so I'm hoping after another week that they'll be out of that location also. Career tech updates, we started demolishing everything. Coach Moore and football players helped us, with a lot of stuff that we had to move out of there, at the last minute, so we got all that taken care of, and they're going. Right now, everything is still ahead of schedule on that project also. So there's nothing additional to report on that. Restrooms are moving. I was by there yesterday. They've got everything torn out. They're moving. They know their timeline also. We got a lot of different people working on top of each other between painting and flooring and restrooms. So we're just trying, we're all just trying to work together to get all that accomplished. But there should not be any holdups on the restroom side either. Our grounds maintenance, if you've noticed the high school, since we implemented that contract, how the grounds look at the high school, I just wanted to make one note. Professional lawn care service, there was just a little bit of confusion between the two of us. His $38,000 price did include trimming the bushes and edging at the other schools. When we'd initially talked, he told me he was gonna have to give me that price back, but he did contact me to let me know that that price did include that. It did not change the way the low bid to the high bid to the high quotes. It did not change any of that either. So that was I just wanted to clarify that because he had called me and, stated that. So I just wanted to publicly say that there was just a little bit of confusion with us there. Summer floor cleaning, we're finished at EES, AMMS, over at this location, Central Office ELC. We're just about finished with everything we can do at the primary school. They will be out of there Thursday, but we will have to come back and do the hallways because of the renovation on the restrooms. High school will be the same way. Probably 2 or 3 days before school starts, we will be in there doing those hallways because we've got to give the contractors, their amount of time to get in and out. But we're trying to do every area that we can do to limit the number of things that we're going to have to do a couple of days before school starts. If you notice in here, Coach Smith had asked me about the gym flooring. I provided 2 prices from you. It's information only on redoing the gym floor there, just so we know we've got that expense coming up at some point in time to do on that gym flooring, but just giving you an idea on that. And I did attach the list of equipment that Coach Moore and we looked at on the BSN stuff.
So how bad, in your judgment, how diehard need is it on the
There's one 4x4 section in the gym that we need to do something to because it's a dead spot. It's just a little hump, that we really need to fix. The other areas, one reason that it's so expensive is because it will have to completely go down to bare wood if we choose to repaint the white areas, the tiger eyes, 3-point lines, sidelines, foul lines, all of that. That's why it's so expensive. Our normal yearly dressing on that floor usually range somewhere between $4,000 to $7,500 if we just, do a top dressing on it. But this time it will have to come down, and both flooring companies have told us that, we're pretty close to the last time we can go down on that floor because we can only take it down so many times before that veneer surface is no longer there. So that's just something later down the road that we've got to consider too, years from now.
How long does that normally last, James?
It just depends on, the conditions, weather. Air conditioning in that facility has helped a lot, with the floor sweating and all that. But there's floors, that last 20 years, 20 plus years. It just depends on, the maintenance. This is the first dead spot that I can remember in that floor, Mr. Hawkins. That's the first one since I've been there. Yes, it's just a small 4x4 area.
So I have a question about that. When you fix the 4x4 area, do you have to do the whole floor?
No.
Okay.
We just fixed that dead spot.
But we still be up against roughly the 7,500 for doing the regular.
Yes, if we
maintenance.
opt to do the other one at some point in time, that's what we're gonna have to do.
And do we typically do that every year, every other year, every summer?
There's two processes that we do. One year gets less treatment, and then the next year you come back with a little bit more.
What did we get last summer?
Last summer, we got the 2 times.
And will you touch on the greenhouse? We skipped it because you had a bullet in here just,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The greenhouse, we did receive the bids on the greenhouse. It's not going to be in the packet because, we did not get it in time. But we opened the bids yesterday on the greenhouse, and it came in at $145,000. It's for 30 by 72. There was only one bid, so it gives us the right, since we had already publicized it in the paper and everything under Public Works law, that we can negotiate from that point. And we can negotiate down to about 125. That takes 4 feet off the actual greenhouse, 2 feet on each side. The good thing with that is it's exactly the same size as what was there to start with. So for 125, we can put exactly the same size greenhouse that we had there. We were trying to see if we could get a little bigger. One thing that made the price increase on us is that we had to go through the building commission. If we didn't have to go through the building commission, there would not be a contractor, we wouldn't have overhead, there wouldn't be subcontractors, there wouldn't be anyone. So basically going through the building commission, it's costing, the system, $50,000, $60,000 more than what it would normally, but they would not allow us to do it. They've let some go in the past couple of years, but now every greenhouse that's getting done, they're treating it just like it's a regular building.
we'll have that at the next board meeting for your approval.
Yes, ma'am. Any additional questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Bailey.
you, John.
No, sir.
All right, financial report, Ms. Ellis.
So the financial report for the end of May, we're 8 months through the year. Revenues are at 72%, expenditures at 63%. We're exactly at the same place we were this time last year. Sales tax expenses are up a little bit, which is promising. And looking to end the year right at 4 months if everything holds true. If I look at the salaries and revenues and everything that's still to come in, the end of the year right at 4 months, which is a little bit better than what we had budgeted for. And then, of course, bank statements have been reconciled as of the end of May. I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk a little bit about the operations and the things that you just talked with capital projects.
If you could kind of update us on the bond issue and when the payments are due, and then,
The first, and I worked up a capital projects thing last night, so I'm gonna give that to you guys if you wanna review it. And then, do you want them to have this?
Yes,
as
we have
well?
them. We've been working off this capital planning outline from when we did our facilities walkthrough, and we're actually going to share it with the administrators tomorrow. It's just a chart that looks at all of the projects that we identified from doing those walkthroughs back in March, when we spent 3 hours in each school, and then kind of what the estimated cost would be and where we wanted to budget it. You can tell I put this together because it's in a word chart. One day I'm gonna get smart like Miss Ellis and learn Excel. But then I asked Mr. Bailey to go back and highlight things that we have started on so that when we share it with our administrators tomorrow at retreat, because we tried to, when we sat down, we had about a 5-hour meeting maybe 2 months ago to look at this. Mr. Beasley, Mr. Bailey, Miss Ellis and I, and look at everything that we identified in all 4 schools, because if we didn't get this done on paper, those 2 days would have been a waste of time. And so we tried to talk about, for example, the middle school bleachers. We know that's a need. We know we don't have that money in this budget, but we know that when FY 2017 comes around, that we'll have that in that budget to hopefully by December, get those bleachers, fixed. So that's what this chart is. It's a working chart. That's why it's got draft, but it had all of the big items that we were trying to address based on those walkthroughs. And you'll see, like, for example, the high school bleachers, it's looking at $145,000, so we know that that's gonna be in the next 5 years out. It's not a major priority besides to get those minor repairs done right now, whereas we put FY 2017 for the middle school bleachers. So that's kind of the purpose of this working chart.
And as far as the Excel spreadsheet that I gave to you, it's just a synopsis of our capital projects and this year what we...
Welcome to Old Mexico. Old Mexico features great food, an adult beverage bar, and nightly specials in our family restaurant. Happy hour is from 4:30 until 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Our phone number is 334-687-7770. Old Mexico, located at 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Hours are 11 to 2 and 4:30 until 9 Monday through Wednesday. Open till 10 on Thursday through Saturday and 11 until 9 p.m. on Sunday. Old Mexico features the best authentic Mexican food with banquet and large party room that can be reserved. Old Mexico, unique to Eufaula, 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Old Mexico, celebrating 24 years of business by owners Santiago and Salome Solario.
1,000 and just some other things if we continue with it. That's all in the anticipated column. So we would end the year with what our beginning equity balance was, plus our revenues, minus all of our current year-to-date expenses, plus anticipated. We would probably end the year right at $450,000, and you take $6,000 off of that from that pressure washing. And then I just kind of put some figures in there for what we already know our revenues for 2017 will be. The bond issue payment in March, and it's March or April, and then in September, and we already know we have our iPad lease for next year. And then, so I gave you an ending balance, and then I took off things that we always have to do, technology upgrades, classroom furniture, ADA compliance, and then there may be some other things, but we would have about $690,000 to play with, so to speak, in fiscal year 2007 for different emergency things or whatever you might think needs to be done. The restroom renovations, we're doing the primary school this year. As far as looking at the middle school and the elementary school in the future, from the bond issue, we'll only have that $131,000 that you see in that second set of columns to go towards restroom renovations. If the middle school, which is where we were looking to go next year, was at $300,000 as well, then that extra $180,000 would have to come from that $690,000 that we have in capital projects. But it's things we'll have to look at as we're moving forward. Is it priority? Can we move forward with it? Is it something you guys want to do?
So we're looking at that 180 every year, right? That's what we're looking at.
The iPads?
Well, the iPad I know is for what, 3 years?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened at the end of the third year? Are
We have a buyout option to purchase each for $1, and then we own them.
Okay. And then the bond money, we know that's got to come off the top this time, so. Okay, so actually then we take those two off the top, then we can look at an actual number.
Right, and in the past, I've given you a 5-year plan. I didn't have time to get that together.
But if I'm interpreting this right, we'll end the year at $452,000, we'll get $800,000, $825 next year, and then with the expenses that we will bear, that's about $300,000 off that, right?
About 360.
So that gives us a balance starting next year at 845, and then, we actually are winding up a little less each year. I mean, we just,
Exactly.
I mean, we're getting less and less wiggle room in terms of what, I guess, variable expenses or different plans that we can apply these funds to, because we've got those earmarked funds with the bond payment. I think the thing that, I know the thing that concerned me when I got the packet was that there are a lot of things that are coming forward with a sense of urgency, and we've got a capital projects plan. And if we're not gonna follow a plan, then why do we make a plan? I mean, I don't wanna get the cart before the horse.
So do we need to revisit the capital plan itself? And-
Yeah.
And we probably need to relook at that, and, I mean, with a clear head is what we
But this-
actually got, some actual numbers.
This is a bunch of added stuff that's not even on the plan.
Right, I know.
And our goal is also with looking at it, because to do it correctly, you look at it annually based on what your needs are. And so that's what the start of this is to assess that. And then, of course, with our facilities analysis, that will be in July. Some of the things, that we've looked at, for example, one of the things, the interior signage, you look at not meeting compliance with, like Braille, we don't have that on some of the signs. The rugs, you look at the mold, the mildew, those types of things. So some of the things are health things, but they typically tend to be your smaller things when you look at that. And I have a question too about the iPads. Is this year 2 of the payment for those?
You were gonna ask that, and the signature sheet, I didn't bring this. This is the second year.
This
We'll
is the
have
second
one
year.
more payment.
So we only have one more, okay. I thought that, but I wanted to make sure that I would,
I'm
okay,
just not looking at it.
yeah. So then that 185,000 will roll back in, besides the $1 for how many ever we have?
Right.
Okay,
It's not forever.
Gotcha.
Unless
Okay.
we wanted to increase down to other schools or something like that, but.
Which would be logical.
Which was, I think, discussed going to MMS.
We did say there was a big need.
oh, and there's absolutely a
There is a
need.
big need. Yeah.
But just, trying to figure out if that's the most economical thing to do with the type of devices.
I think it's, it kind of goes back to what they said at the summer conference, is what goes on every day instead of what goes on Friday nights.
Yeah.
And if iPads in the middle school make a difference, then we may not need a new scoreboard.
We just have to hope it doesn't go out in the middle of the game, but
I mean,
I'm
just saying that,
curriculum
but,
based and.
We've got to look at those things critically.
Yeah.
And
Can we just get a look at that 5-year plan and
Yeah.
versus what we have here? And this kind of,
Mhm.
I think we really need to do some serious looking at and discussion on that.
Yeah.
Because, this is a lot of outside of the 5-year plan.
That we've already approved.
Right.
No, I mean, not if, no. This was just a chart of what all we saw when we walked through the
Oh,
building.
this is-
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is stuff that needs to be added to the plan.
Yeah, and I think what we talked about, the information I got as I walked through is during those harder years when nothing was done, because I kind of relate it to like when my grandmother lived through the Great Depression and you're afraid to let go because she saved her aluminum foil. But there's some of the things that need to be, that have needed to be updated, maybe haven't, because we've had so many years in proration in Alabama. And so some of these things on this list may have been a result of that even. It's not that jobs weren't being, people were doing their jobs. It's just some things had to be put on hold.
Well, Angie, I guess the question is, everything that's in front of us right now, are you saying that we can carry the financial burden to obligate ourselves to these?
What we have so far, yes, but I think that every item we need to add to this Excel spreadsheet and look at it looking at the 5 years ahead of us also to make sure that we're not gonna get in trouble 3 years down the road as well. And I say that for every item
Yeah.
that's coming up.
And
We
Mr.
need to
Kelty,
look at
can I ask you, just to clarify, you're not asking about all this, are you?
Well, everything that's.
It's on the agenda?
On the agenda.
Okay, all right, I
yeah.
just wanted to make
There-
sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of this is
Okay.
as,
Sure,
seen,
okay.
to be seen, to
Yes,
be
sir.
done.
Okay.
Yes,
A lot of this, if it's yellow, is
is the agenda.
already on the encumbered column.
Okay.
If it's smaller type items, I say smaller, interior
lighting.
signage, lighting, and things like that, it's already in your encumber. And that's why I tried to break it down in the expenses, whether it was done at the district office, the high school, the middle school, so you could see the actual project, and I even put the vendor name for you, so you could, and a description that tells you. So if you were to compare these two side by side, you can see what we've already done.
On the Head Start playground, was the city gonna step up for any of that?
They did, we,
10,000?
10,000, and then we were able to use some hippie funds.
This is what's coming out of us though, 28, or is that the total cost of it?
We've not hit the general fund for anything.
Right.
All of the playground equipment will be taken care of using OSR funds, HIPPY funds, and the money that Bob is allocating, or the city is allocating to us.
I think I put it on here last night, I'm trying to find it now, and I found out today that Hippie and,
That's
and
28,000.
that they're able to pick it up, and I did this last night, so.
Sure. I mean, that's really good to be done last night.
Well, this gives us a good view. Thank you, Angie.
Yeah. Any other questions for Ms. Ellis? Thank you, Angie. All right, under new business, the first item is board compensation. We were supposed to address that at our annual meeting in May, and we postponed it until now. I guess I'll open the floor for discussion.
I took the liberty in contacting the School Board Association just to get a feel on this compensation deal. And I talked with Tammy there, and she did email me a printout on the compensation that board members receive across the state. I had asked for the city board, but she included the entire thing. And I was going to print it, but out and bring it. However, my printer decided they had given out ink, so I was unable to print it. But it was interesting to look down there to see how many city systems are getting compensated for. And I was looking at it, and I would see some that are more, some are more financially stable than our system, and some are less stable as our system. So it was quite a few that city systems are getting compensated, and the compensation varies. As a matter of fact, I saw one system that gets like. This thing said you can go $600, but one system was getting $1,100, and a couple of them were getting $700 a month. So it just depends, I guess, on each individual system in terms of that. But it also went on to say that it's up to each individual board member whether, if the board as a whole choose to receive the compensation, that each individual member can decide to accept or reject it, or to do whatever they want to do with it.
Is that the information? I thought the information that we
I thought it
were
was
not
different
allowed,
than
once
that.
the board approved it, we all have to accept it. Whether we chose to get it back, we could, but we were still going to get that, I guess, lack of a better word, just a W-2 at the end of the year for whatever that compensation was, if the board accepted it. That was my understanding, and
That was mine as well.
That was what Jane had said. I'm not familiar with Candy yet, but
Yeah.
Jane from AASB.
Yeah.
Jane is the one that I have talked to.
Yeah.
At the bottom, it did say based on whatever act.
All right, I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean,
I spoke to Mr. Johnny Knight because I had asked Susan, because everything on this is said county. The thing that, the printout that we got says county, so I had asked her if she had anything related to the city, you know, because the county is an elected board, the city is an appointed board. But we didn't have that information, but I did talk to Johnny Knight, and he said that the city council did not have anything to do with if we were compensated or not. That's all. So I guess that's all I know.
Personally, I remain opposed to compensation because I would feel like I'd be taking money out of the kids' hands, even though it's a little bit. You know, it's public service and it's valuing that issue itself. So that's my feelings on it.
And I'm the same way to the degree that I feel this is a service, and we are privileged to be able to help the children and the school system, and that itself is compensation enough.
I know, I understand what you're saying, and it's so true on both ends. I think about, in the past, when we were, being, talked about and belittled by, certain groups in the community because they were dissatisfied with the decisions that we made as a board. I was calling for an elected board. And I'm saying to myself, okay, if you want to elect the board, then you're ready to pay board members. It's automatic, you know. But it is what it is.
Any other comments?
Okay.
I'll ask for a motion regarding board compensation.
I make a motion that no compensation be provided for the next coming year.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Item 4B.
Okay. Item 4B is the audit report, and we have Mr. Hartzog here to share that with us tonight.
I'm short tonight. I'm looking at the agenda for a special meeting. It looks like a rather lengthy one. Anyway, the highlights, each of you should have received it on the internet, and I brought some hard copies tonight. You should receive the audit report and a separate letter addressed to the board. Of course, the financial statements themselves are the board's responsibilities, but I have to issue my reports on them. As far as the independent auditor's report on page 1 and 2, the board received an unmodified opinion on the basic financial statements, so you get a grade of A. The next report, independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. That's required by government auditing standards. Noted no deficiencies in internal control over financial reporting that are considered material weaknesses, and found no instances of non-compliance that are required to be reported. So that report will get an A. The next report relates to single audit for the federal funds. Independent auditors report on compliance for each major program and on internal control over compliance. That report's required by the single audit. In my opinion, the board complied with the compliance requirements contained in OMB Circular A-133, and I did not identify any deficiencies in internal control of the compliance that I consider to be material weaknesses. The board gets an A on that report. On pages 47, 48, schedule of findings and question calls. Sounds worse than it is. Section 1 of that report summarizes the results of the audit related to the report on the financial statements and the reports related to the federal awards. Section 2 indicates that no findings were reported related to the financial statements or federal awards. So that's just kind of a summary of all these previous mentioned reports. Board gets an A. One thing I did want to point out, there was a really significant change in accounting principles this year. Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or we shorten it to GASB. GASB Statement 68 related to pension plan disclosures. You're going to see about 4 or 5 pages of notes related to pension plan disclosures that had to be included in this year's report. Probably the most significant change you'll see on the financial statements, the government-wide statements, which are the statement of net position. You have to include the unfunded part of the pension. That's a rather significant number for the board. You don't pay attention as you're going along because you're kind of on a pay-as-you-go. They do actuarial reports each year, and they calculate how much you have to put in each year to not only fund the current year, but catch up any past deficiencies.
Ladies, unlock the cash value in your jewelry box. Sell your gold on Dale Road. We buy gold jewelry, bent or broken, at Eufaula Flea Market, 354 Dale Road.
Sell your gold on Dale Road. Sell your gold on Dale Road. Mr. Pond buys gold on Dale Road. Mr. Pond buys gold on Dale Road. Sell your gold on Dale Road. Sell your gold on Dale Road.
So that number you see is the net pension liability on the statement of net position is the number that was calculated based on their actuarial report that was actually done September 13th. So as far as us putting it on the financial statements, a lot of this has to do with estimates, but I did want to point out that that's a significant thing going forward. In my mind, what the board looks at more than anything each month is these budget statements, and that's probably much more meaningful to your position than trying to figure out the government-wide statements, which are knows what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
And that kind of wraps it up. I just want to thank the board for letting me be of service to you. I want to commend the board itself, Angie, Bailey, Beasley, all these guys, a big help to me each year. They do a super job, really super job. Local school people do good work too. If you have any questions after you've had a chance to digest that report, feel free to contact me. I'll be available whenever you need. Any questions now?
Thank you for
Thank
talking,
you.
Bob.
Thank you.
I'm glad Samson won't speak English too much.
And also,
Glad we have an accountant over there.
yeah. Ooh.
I'm the only
Somebody
account
that speaks
I'm
English.
probably the only account that's very sexy. but-
In layman's terms, it means Ms. Ellis does a very good job, and we are very fortunate to have her. And I did ask Mr. Hartzog, was I supposed to understand all of this? And he said no, so I feel much better, because I tried to read it, and it was Chinese, some of it. So, but thank you so much.
We need a recommendation board action.
Do we have to accept that? Do we have to
Does
accept
need to be
that?
approved?
Yes,
Got to
Mr.
be
Beasley
accepted.
said. Okay. All right. So the superintendent recommends that the board approve the item 4B, the 2015 audit report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Item 4C are the entrance age requirements. It's a revised policy based on one of the laws that came out about students turning 6, entering first grade. Mr. Beasley, if you'll address us on that, and it's a law that came out from the legislature.
Alabama Act 2016-297 was passed and signed by the governor. I do not remember the exact effective date, but it's in effect, I think, today. That says the entrance age for first grade. A child must now be 6 years old as of December the 31st, as opposed to September the 1st, as it has been in past years. On the second page of the agenda packet there, the only changes in our current policy to get us in compliance with this new law are just to strike through December 1st and strike through September 1st and add the words December 31st. This does not affect kindergarten. It only affects first grade. I heard a comment made by someone at SSA last week that most likely the reason that it was written the way it was is some legislator's grandchild was going to have to wait a while. So
I mean, really, is that probably that
that's
simple?
the speculation as to the reason. Yes.
Are we looking at a large number?
I don't think so. I would, we really don't know how to gauge that, but I would guess, 10 would be a lot.
Really?
That's going to be my guess. But anyway, it is what it is. And I have to abide by the law, so there it is. It's a first reading. If there's anything else comes out on it, I don't think there will be, because it's real simple and straightforward, that it does affect only first grade and not kindergarten.
And that's first reading, so we will bring that back in July. Any questions? Item,
Do we need a motion to table?
oh, do y'all, okay, even though I'm sorry, for first reading. Okay.
Yeah, make a recommendation.
Okay, the superintendent recommends that item 4D be tabled until the July meeting.
Is there a motion?
4C.
So moved.
I'm 4C, thank you, Mr. Hill. I've jumped ahead.
So moved as 4C.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now 4D.
Thank you, Dr. Lockwood. 4D is the Student Code of Conduct, first reading, and I'm going to ask Mr. Warren to come up. And what we've asked is, we've watermarked it draft. We've spent a good bit of time with our principals and assistant principals. Had a parent at one of our meetings really kind of going through to look at some of the things that we had in there. And I cannot remember if it was at AASB or SSA that one of the speakers said, if a kid doesn't know math, you teach them math. If a kid doesn't know English, you teach them English. If a kid doesn't know how to behave, we punish them. Where's the disconnect? And so that's what we really tried to look at in this code of conduct as we start to be more proactive in our support and wraparound services. And so I've asked him to bullet. He's going to give us the hot off the press drafts because it is first read. But I've asked him to bullet for us just some of the major changes and just kind of hit on those, because we'll come back in July, at the July 19th meeting, and ask for approval. By then, there may be even a few more changes, because we're finding things as we continue to go through it. But Mr. Warren, if you'll kind of share with us some of the big ticket items here.
I want to thank you guys for allowing me to speak. What we're looking at is on page 13 of the Code of Conduct. If you turn to that page, that's where our first change will take place. And what we did was we looked at several different Code of Conducts in the different school systems. And the first change is, as far as on the bus, if a child gets a referral, the first change will be a warning. The second referral will be 3 days bus suspension. The next one will be 6 days bus suspension. And then 12 days bus suspension. And then a management plan. In the past, after that fourth time, they'll put off the bus 30 days, and then the next referral the rest of the school year. And what we've done is we've tried to give the principal more flexibility as far as dealing with bus referrals, where we want kids off the bus for 30 days or the rest of the school year. That management plan could consist of that parent and students being involved in a contract with the administrators at the schools. It could involve them having work detail for a period of time so that we can keep them on the school bus. Last year, the first referral was a warning. The next referral was 3 days, and then the next one was 10 days. So we've gone from 10 days to 6 days. And then the next referral was 30 days, so we've gone from 30 days to 12 days. And then that next referral, if it happens this year, it will be 12 days as opposed to the rest of the school year. So if you can see that we've changed that to help out with making sure that kids are on the bus and coming to school on a regular basis. Also, another change is when a child go to ISS in the past, they have not been able to ride the bus. That becomes a problem because parents do not have a way to get their child to school. So if they go to ISS, we're going to allow them to ride the school bus.
And Mr. Warren, that's for something that relates to, say they got in trouble in class for throwing a pencil at somebody. So it's not bus related, those ISS. So they would be punished in the past and go to ISS, but then also your second time you would be suspended off the bus as well, even though it had no relation to the bus. So
another change on page 13, if you will look up, it's around the middle of the page where it says Eufaula City School bus adjustment procedures. And that's a change. What we've done is we spelled out the expectations on the bus. It goes from A all the way to M. Those are the expectations we expect our students to display when they're riding the school bus. So we spell that out for them. That's a change also. The next change is on page 18, which deals with the Hope Academy and the alternative school. Last year, it was the Character Education Center, the alternative school, but we're changing that to the Eufaula Success Academy. And Ms. Lauren Grant, she's going to be the administrator of that program. She did a great job the month that she served at the CEC last year, and we're looking forward to working with her this year as well. We're also going to move the Hope Academy from Eufaula High School to the middle school for a year. With the renovation going on at the high school, we've got to house those students somewhere, so they'll be at the middle school on one wing. We'll have Hope Academy and the Education Success kids in that particular building. Any questions on those two items? Another thing that we're doing, we're taking all the wording that were in the glossary, we're going to take that out and we're going to make it a part of our regular code of student conduct. We won't have a glossary. Those terms will be classified as consequences and procedures. That's going to spell out, an example would be the, what does a bus suspension entail? What does the Education Success Center entail? We'll have it spelled out where parents will know. The last thing that I want to address is there are two changes in the attendance policy that we want to have implemented. We're looking at students in grade 1 through 8 that accumulate more than 10 absences, whether it's excused or unexcused. We're going to require them to bring a doctor's excuse. Then also, they could be denied promotion. That's another way that we're going to use to try to make sure kids are at school on a
Okay.
daily basis.
All right, so now you saying it's just going to apply for the lower level?
Well, at the high school, they can only have so many absences
They already
anyway
have
before
that.
they lose credit.
Credit.
Am I right, Mr. Hawkins?
Mhm. And so, let's repeat that one more time.
Students in grade 1 through 8,
Mhm.
if they accumulate 10 or more absences, they could be denied promotion,
And that's excused or unexcused.
excused or unexcused.
Excused being
Now-
a doctor's letters,
But-
right?
Right, and after they get 10, if they are absent that 11th time, they need to bring a doctor's excuse.
Well, wouldn't a doctor's excuse be an excused absence?
It would be,
Yes.
it would be.
The biggest
So-
thing there was, and it's not, maybe it's not spelled out well, is that after that 10th absence, we're asking that a doctor's excuse be brought in unless there are times when the stomach virus goes around but we have some kids with 60 and 70 absences and they're all parent notes. So after 10, we're going to ask for a doctor's note unless there are times when kids just run high fevers, and we get that. That's going to be as you know your kids, but overall, we're going to ask that you have a doctor's note after your 10th absence.
Okay.
What we run into is we have students that are out 25, 30, 35 days. And the way early warning is set up, if a child is out 7 unexcused days, then that's when they are referred to early warning school. But if they're out 7 days and they have an excuse, then that doesn't send a red flag as far as them being referred to early warning school. So we're trying to cover both angles by looking at excused absences and also unexcused absences. Last year, if you remember, the code of conduct was incorporated with the handbooks of the other 4 schools. So what we're going to do this year, we're going to put it out like we've done in the past. So it's going to be a standalone copy. The plan is, this is your first read, and then when we come back in July, on July the 19th, we're hoping you guys will approve it. And then on the 20th, we're going to get it to the printers to be printed because we're running behind the 8 ball. So we need to get it done and go ahead and get it printed. We feel like if we get it to them on the 20th, we can have it by the time school starts. And we'll get 2 or 3 bids to make sure that we're in compliance. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward.
The superintendent recommends item 4D and be tabled to the July 19th meeting, the 2016-17 Student Code of Conduct.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4E is the audit contract. Ms. Ellis?
It's time to approve for our auditor again. Mr. Hartzog has prepared our audit for a number of years. I know at least 14 now. And we generally do the contract for 3 years, so we don't have to come back every year. And it would be for him to get started July 1st, Friday, with the next year's audit. So that's what you have before you. The annual amount would not exceed $17,500 in any fiscal year.
Any question? If not, the superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4E, the audit contract.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
4F is the CNP freezer bid, and Mr. Bailey and Mr. Beasley have worked on that to assist with housing the food at the schools. Can you address the board for that?
Welcome to Old Mexico. Old Mexico features great food, an adult beverage bar, and nightly specials in our family restaurant. Happy hour is from 4:30 until 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Our phone number is 334-687-7770. Old Mexico, located at 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Hours are 11 to 2 and 4:30 until 9 Monday through Wednesday. Open till 10 on Thursday through Saturday and 11 until 9 p.m. on Sunday. Old Mexico features the best authentic Mexican food with banquet and large party room that can be reserved. Old Mexico, unique to Eufaula, 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Old Mexico, celebrating 24 years of business by owners Santiago and Salome Solario.
You remember we stopped satelliting all of our food services out, started a couple of years ago and phasing in, and in doing that, we need to increase the freezer space, at a couple of the locations, because right now we're still having to take frozen foods to the schools, put them in their freezer and all that. This way we can have deliveries made to the schools and cut out some of that, back and forth and, extra work on people at the high school. This will be paid for with our child nutrition funds. It will not come out of the general fund, general budget, capital projects or anything. And the freezer bid will be putting a freezer at the ELC, EES, and EPS. All of various different sizes based on, the amount of space we have at each school to house one.
So does that eliminate the people driving the food
Yes.
totally?
The only place that we may have to deliver something just because of the size of the freezer and the space is at the middle school, which is just right across the street from the high school.
From the high school, okay.
And that could hopefully be, maybe a once a week type thing.
And it's a little off topic, but how has that gone, that transition to the localized instead of the centralized
I think it's
distribution?
I think it's gone great as far as, the schools doing their own, meals and everything else. I see Miss Jean sitting right there. She can probably answer that question better than anyone. She's the lunchroom manager at the elementary school.
Yes,
It's went well.
thank you.
We like it because our food's already there. We don't have to wait on food to come. And sometimes the truck might be late or the van might break down or, so we've got our food and we know what we got to do the next day and we have it there.
Any other questions? All right. Superintendent recommends the board approve item 4F for the CMP freezer bid.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
When we get into 4G through really 4K, those are some of the items that we touched on with Ms. Ellis. So if there are questions, concerns, we are looking at things to start school with, but we always want to make sure if there are concerns, if we need to have additional discussion, we can always move those to July. That's not a problem. I think we're working to try to have school ready by August 1st when those teachers come in. But I think it's important, to say that because, again, it's as the change occurs and the shifts occur, there are things coming up that haven't been brought up before or for several years. So item 4G is the high school flooring. And Mr. Bailey?
If you've noticed in the board agenda report, we have modified, moved some things around there at the high school, the office area, the guidance area, and in doing so, we pulled out cabinets. The flooring, is not any good anymore just because some things that we have done in moving things around, the way carpet was laid. Nothing wrong with the quality of it, but just over the years and the moves that we've made to accommodate the new guidance area and the new entrance to the high school is going to require that we replace that flooring in those areas. And you have a diagram in your packet of those areas. And at the same time, along the athletic wing, there are several chip tiles, there are several defects in that floor, everything else that if we just went in and started patching those, that we would just be better off replacing the whole floor. And in addition to doing the multipurpose facility in the girls' weight room, you know, it would just be nice if that whole area just kind of tied in together.
And the shift of the office was safety. I have a concern with people coming in and having to go all the way through the commons area to get to the main office, so those doors will be locked. And they'll only enter into those doors where the counseling suite was, and that will be the main office. And so that's why this shift came about. Ideally, I would love for them to have to buzz in and us to eventually get to where that's its own area with a wall or something down the road just for safety. But for short term, we at least wanted to move those offices and get that main office so that people don't come through. Any questions? So that, the superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4G, the Eufaula High School flooring proposal.
We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
4H is the uniform proposal, and it's, this goes in alignment, one, with our 5 workers that we have that are at our schools, but also what's tied into here also are the rugs. When we did the walkthroughs, some schools had some rugs, some didn't have some, which also causes problems with the flooring under the water, well, you call it water coolers, but water fountains, entranceways. Some had been there all year, so they had, you can only clean them so many times. So I asked Mr. Bailey to get a quote for us on the rugs, and being able to change those out as a responsibility for us and not the schools, so that was taken care of for them, to make sure those rugs were replaced and mold, mildew, water doesn't seep in and just sit there.
Yes, ma'am. This will be roughly 140 rugs throughout the system. It will cover the main entrances, any side entrances, underwater coolers, and everything. One thing we have to look at too with, our flooring, redoing the floors, adding new flooring, and just keeping things clean and neat. Those areas that do not have existing rugs now, we just, we bring in more trash, we bring in more dirt, and this service, the first would come in every week, pick up every single rug we have, lay a new rug down, take the old rugs off, clean them. It's just a never-ending cycle of when we do it. We have options on start dates. We choose not to start till, August the 1st, July 30th, whatever. We don't have to put them in, tomorrow, but we can, go as close to school starting as we possibly can. The uniforms, several of the maintenance guys had asked about uniforms. They're in and out of our schools, in and out of all kind of mess, from, water leaks to a toilet backup to a sewage backup. I've seen them, mess up their own clothes, everything else, the ceiling, tear, rip. And I just think it's just something, a little extra that we can do. It will be a fringe benefit on their W-2 column, but it's just, just a little something we can do, and that comes to $2,574 annually to get them a set of shorts, 11 total pairs of pants, whether it be 6 pants, 5 shorts, or vice versa, 11 shirts and a jacket. And they come every week, swap their clothes out, and, if they mess something up, they go home, they change, they come right back to work. And that is on the NJPA contract also, so, it doesn't require, any bids or any state pricing, and we get a discount on it also.
Any questions? No. If not, the superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4H on the uniform and facility services proposal.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item for 4I is the lunchroom table proposal. And again, when we did walkthroughs, the middle school tables were in pretty good shape. They had some of the tops, the little spinny things the kids do, some of them missing, but your elementary and primary tables are some of them are a safety hazard with kids getting their clothes stuck on them, scratching themselves, things missing. And so in talking through what we needed to do to update those tables, because it's to the point where we almost have to purchase them safety-wise, and for those schools. And so I asked Mr. Bailey and Ms. Terciano to look at different options based on what was out there. And Ms. Terciano is also looking at how she can enhance her feeding program so that we are, you know, kids these days in the modern world are looking at the modernization of things. That's why I think originally when we looked at buying desks, we're holding off on that so that we can look at the best way to meet the kids' needs. And so at the primary school, we have because they do their programs there, the proposal is to buy the tables that actually turn into benches so that they're multi-use. And so that's what we looked at when we looked at the 3 schools to purchase for.
And then that's, you know, kind of what we looked at when we were looking at all of the solutions. The primary schools will convert up into a bench or seat 192 people. No longer will they have to fold tables up, push them out of the way, bring in metal chairs when they have an event. You know, they can use exactly what they have in there, and that's what the tables are made for. The elementary schools, we went with a combination of rectangular tables, octagonal tables, round tables, and they have individual chairs also. So during certain times of the year, if they were, you know, doing testing or doing something somewhere else, you know, those individual chairs can be used as opposed to, you know, just having a lunchroom seat with the stool. High school, same concept. We went with cafe tables. We went with bar height tables, round, squares, different sizes. That's 368 seats. And inside that, Mr. Hawkins will be able to use those chairs inside the gym for music and arts in our school system. So the more metal folding chairs, hauling from, you know, one school to another, graduation. We have 368 sets of chairs. You know, that could be inside the gym if we had to, on the football field if we had to, added to the multi-purpose complex, anywhere in schools, in that school that he needed tables, you know, we would have separate individual tables rather than the stools. Now, we can, you know, put on gov deals, the excess tables that we have to recoup some of the cost. I do not know, you know, what they may sell for because it's an auction type system. And at the middle school, we would be looking at the next year down the road after, you know, revamping some of the areas where the lunch line gets, because to try to get more seating in there, because the way the middle school is laid out, we pretty much can only have an option of the rectangular tables all lined up in a certain way to get the number of students in there that we need. But Ms. Terciano is looking at revamping the lunch line and some other equipment in there that would allow us to have a little bit more space and flow and add something that's a little more aesthetically pleasing, you know, more comfortable for the students. Just, you know, makes it an overall, you know, nicer atmosphere. And all this, again, will be paid for with Child Nutrition Fund.
So that means next year the 2 gentlemen that helped so much with hauling those chairs in and out for like music and arts, you're saying the chairs that we have with these, we can just move them in there?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
368. But we can't use all 368 because some of them are bar height, but they may
Gotcha.
be able to use them for something, you know, some instrument or something, they'd be able to use that. It would be roughly 340 chairs.
Okay. Any questions?
Did y'all have a chance to look at the layouts and see?
Superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4I, purchase of the new lunchroom table proposal.
So motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
4J is the Tiger Stadium scoreboard. And I'm going to ask Coach Moore if he will speak to the discussion we've had about it, and then Mr. Bailey and Mr. Beasley have been part of the discussion too, as far as, and Mr. Hawkins, so.
Yeah, the scoreboard issue that we have is both a game scoreboard issue and a play clock issue. I don't know exactly how old the scoreboard is. Is it original? It's the original scoreboard, and it was a nice scoreboard. We're having problems. I think it was lightning issues at one point. Modules are out in it, and they don't make anymore. And so we were lucky this past year, prior to game 1, we found one module. Mr. Billy found it, and we ordered it and got it in prior to game 1. And then when we showed up for game 1, the clocks were out. So we're just in kind of a pinch, really. It works to a degree. It's just sort of run out of time with it, to be honest. I think we're a couple years overdue. The quote that we have for it that includes the play clocks. We did explore Pepsi and Coke. Neither of them are willing to give us more than $3,000, I believe, Coke. And if we did that, we'd have to change every scoreboard in our school, which that would be $28,000 on top of what you see for the football scoreboard. So we're in a place where Pepsi or Coke will give us any help in that, really. So we have to do it ourselves, and I just think it's something we really need. It'll add to the appearance of it. It has a digital rolling scoreboard on the bottom that we can put corporate sponsorships on. I think it'll help us raise money through that. I know that when I was at Opelika, we ran those all game, and then people paid certain amounts for the time it runs. So, for example, before the game or during halftime, those are the biggest times, and it costs more, and so we could get our hands on, something from them to tell us, what they price that at. But I think it's a good way to make money as well.
So you're familiar with this kind of scoreboard?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay. All right.
So are you saying that the sponsorships and the different various groups or whoever that you get the money for will go back into helping offset this $32,000 or $41,000?
That's not what he
Really
said.
don't-
That's what I'm hearing.
I know, I just want to hear. I want to hear.
See what I would come back with?
Good question, Mr. Hill.
I thought it would just go back for the kids and the booster account for them. But I think it would really be a way to help us raise money.
So we're going to Buffalo Rock Products.
We're-
Yeah, somehow we need to show our appreciation to Coke and Pepsi.
That's right.
And I've
Right
offered to do the standard of the week. I wonder how they would like that on Friday nights, if we do the Career Ready Standard of the week.
So what we have is two different options. We went through several different companies, Alabama Contract Sales, BSN, Nevco, and, the Nevco was what everyone agreed on as the best, design, the best looking design, the most, aesthetic to the existing things we have at the stadium. The biggest thing up for discussion is traditional scoreboard, $32,000 versus $41,000 for your ability to put in the monochrome, display at the bottom, and the proof that you have. You can see where it says the word touchdown at the bottom. That will be where the rolling display will be, there in the center. It says touchdown in between Eufaula and high school. That would where the rolling message could be, sponsored by ABC Company, ABC Advertising. Whatever option we choose will roll right there. It's Wi-Fi digitally connected, so we can we program, change in.
This will be wireless. The
Will
scoreboard
it
is
be
wireless.
This one,
I think so, yes.
And when we started, it's been a long process talking about the scoreboard, but Mr. Beasley, just help me one more time. When was the football stadium, when was that thing installed?
2000.
2000, okay. So we're looking at 16, 17 years. Okay. What's the life expectancy of scoreboards?
I wouldn't think 16 or 17 years.
I mean, I really don't
think
know
we've gotten-
because,
The good thing is too, I was gonna mention, we can use all of our existing beams. The scoreboard that we're asking for is the same exact size. So that's a good thing, that didn't cost us. And then installation, we've talked about trying to do it ourselves, still working through that, but that would also help save some money with our guys. The whole thing only weighs like 300 pounds, which is really surprising to me.
Does this cost above include installation?
No, this does not
Does not
include
include
installation. We would be looking at probably additional $5,000 to $6,000. And with it weighing 300 pounds in the different sections,
You have to get
with the
you got to
existing
get a crane.
structure already set there, I think it's something that we ought to be able to handle on ourselves.
do ourselves, yeah.
And
Wish we had the money for a monitor, like a huge,
Jumbotron.
jumbotron.
Like at Auburn.
I think we go up to about 400 then.
That'd be nice.
Show a lot of ads.
And also incorporated in this is the updated audio. And it's not tied into the school board, it's a separate, different component. Coach Moore went to Wallace to
Yeah.
hear, a setup that they had there, and we would be adding, we would be adding 2 more sets of amplified speakers than what they currently have there at Wallace College. We've had discussions with Mr. Hawkins, and, one of our big concerns is just wireless mics on the field, and, we just want to make sure everyone knows that that's one of our big priorities also. This comes with that option also. There may be some things that we have to tweak a little bit as far as getting some of the delay and some of the feedback, but, we won't know till we get into the end of that. But redoing the system, the audio at the same time we do that only makes sense because some of those different components, are no longer in service.
Well, and during this discussion, Mr. Hawkins mentioned having to borrow for several years for graduation when it hasn't rained. Maybe First Baptist Church, their sound system, we have to borrow it every year to do graduation. So this would eliminate that. Am I saying that? Okay, just making sure. So that would also be multi-purpose in that capacity. And my question about lifelong expectancy is so that as we look at capital projects, how often do you budget to purchase one of these things? One of these schools? Is it a 10-year purchase just to be safe? What has it been in the past for us? Have we put it in our capital project?
When we moved from the existing, senior stadium to the location there at the high school,
Okay.
I can't remember that school board. I can't tell you when the
It was
last time.
falling apart.
Yes.
At Senior Stadium.
I can't
We were in the
remember.
same shape we are with this one.
So we've basically had 2 scoreboards in the last 30, 40 years.
Probably 25 plus years.
Just have a warranty on it. What kind of
Does it have a
maintenance,
warranty?
what kind of maintenance warranty do we have on this?
I believe it was a 5-year
I
warranty.
think so. The sound system has a 1-year, and I believe the scoreboard has 5-year warranty. And then when I went to Wallace to hear it, he said it would last, he thought between 5 and 10 years.
Right.
And now we would also mount that under the overhang there and keep it out of the weather, which I think will help instead of putting it on top of the press box where it is now.
Any additional questions? And this wasn't our FY17 plan on the scoreboard and everything.
So we
We
just bumped it a
basically
year.
bumped it up
Okay.
because of how we were. If something were to happen to it this year, we're not guaranteed to be able to find a part to fix it.
Any more questions?
So which
Miss
one
Lee?
they're asking us to bid on?
Oh, 41.
The 41. That's some way I knew that.
Is that correct? She's asking
Ma'am,
Coach
I didn't
Moore,
hear, I'm sorry.
which option are we asking the board to approve?
Which option?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love to have the rolling scoreboard, the digital bottom, so we can put corporate sponsorships on.
And maybe we could work out a plan and split that profit. Have
Work that
to,
out.
Well, you just pay it, just
Just
to
call
fund the
negotiation.
general fund that comes back to the original price of the 32.
right.
Yeah. How does that sound?
Just wants us recouped, yeah.
Once that, how about that, Coach Moore? Once we recoup from that 41 to 32,
The rest is yours.
Then
the rest is yours.
The rest is mine. I can raise it.
I know you will.
He may call somebody tonight. Okay.
Come back and modify that deal.
And Mr. Bailey, let me make sure, just before I recommend this has the sound in it. I've read it, but I just want to make sure it's clarified. This includes the updating the sound.
No, ma'am.
Okay, no,
The
ma'am.
41 in the next column, the $3,660 includes the sound.
Right, sorry.
We paying, we voting on both of them.
44,000 is what we need for the stadium sounds.
Okay.
Scoreboard.
But it is in the same, it is all in 4J?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
And this was in the capital projects plan for 17.
The 17.
We're just moving it up.
Moving it up. We don't have a choice.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4J, the Tiger Stadium scoreboard and audio proposal with the LED scrolling choice. And the audio proposal that goes with it, which was $3,660.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 4K would be a one-time, pretty much a one-time expense after we get our custodians back this time next year and have a full slate of custodians. But with the painting that needs to be done, we look at, and the pressure washing, that's why we're asking for this pretty much one-time option here of trying to get it cleaned up and pressure washed so that it's in good shape. And then again, we will maintain it with the additional staff that we will have by adding back our custodians.
Welcome to Old Mexico. Old Mexico features great food, an adult beverage bar, and nightly specials in our family restaurant. Happy hour is from 4:30 until 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Our phone number is 334-687-7770. Old Mexico, located at 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Hours are 11 to 2 and 4:30 until 9 Monday through Wednesday. Open till 10 on Thursday through Saturday and 11 until 9 p.m. on Sunday. Old Mexico features the best authentic Mexican food with banquet and large party room that can be reserved. Old Mexico, unique to Eufaula, 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Old Mexico, celebrating 24 years of business by owners Santiago and Salome Solario.
This is just a project that we can't take on this summer, with the custodial, cuts that we've made in the past and not having 12-month custodians, our own employees. There's only so much that our guys can do. And this is one. We've got four quotes there. They range from, four different companies. And the lowest quote that you have there was from Pelham, and it was, for the $5,960. Compared to all of them, that's pressure washing, all concretes, the back of the bleachers, sides of the bleachers, tops, that's everything. And we will have to come in at that point and decide, Coach Moore and I have discussed, we could possibly get a lift. Our guys have always painted the goalpost. And, Coach Moore said he would get the paint. Our guys have painted the goalpost. And, we'll have to look. We've got a little time on the rails. It's just something that we don't have to, do right now because, we have until the first game. And, we start, different things going on there that we hope that we can get that painting done. So that it won't be that expense, because if we had to quote that painting out, I estimate it's probably going to cost at least $20,000. To paint everything that we have to paint there, gold post and everything.
It's a big price difference between these guys.
It is, and I asked that question. That was my specific question when I called him back when he gave me that price. And he says he measured everything off, and that's what it came up to.
And we've got, it's gonna have to meet y'all's approval.
Correct.
Before we pay them.
Correct.
Okay. When's the last time it had been pressure washed?
Probably when it was built.
Yeah, I thought so. It's been a while.
So 2,000?
I can't remember it being pressure washed.
$6,000 every 20 years like that.
I have the scoreboard when it's time.
Yeah.
And it will be an expectation with our 12-month custodian that it's done every summer so that it's not in bad shape. We're working on right now a handbook that for custodians with different job responsibilities, and just pressure washing all of our buildings is something that will be one of the responsibilities, so.
And we're going to look at redoing the reserve seatings.
Look at what?
Redoing the reserve seatings also, painting those again, renumbering those
No.
at the same time.
At the same time as what?
We do the pressure washing.
Okay.
We hope it knocks it all off there, so we
Right.
can just you know, repaint those and re-stencil. Coach Moore and I talked about that maybe being a booster project.
Any other questions?
Well, thank y'all for being willing to, do this painting, because that saves us significant funds. Thank you.
Maybe Coach Moore and I, may paint.
I'll help.
Thank you, Coach.
I'll say
There are no more questions. The superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4K, which is the Tiger Stadium cleaning proposal with the Pelham cleaning and pressure washing service at $5,950.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
I think you're done for right now. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. He's been a busy man. Item 4L, it's the joint purchasing agreement for substitutes. I'm going to ask Mr. Beasley and Ms. Ellis.
4L is just the purchasing agreement where a number of districts came together and met to look at joining together to get a better rate for our substitutes. Calling the group Southeast Alabama Schools Cooperative, and it's just a joint purchasing agreement. By signing this agreement or approving this agreement, it does not obligate us to go with the lowest vendor. They did meet and open bids on June 7th, and it was Appleton over Kelly Services, and I put those rates for you. Just by joining this group or meeting, Kelly came back to us and said that they would lower their rate from the 1.41 that we paid for a number of years to 1.385, but Appleton was still at 1.33. So whenever I look at what we paid in substitutes this past year from the 1.385 to the 1.33, we would have about a $10,000 savings.
What do those numbers mean?
I'm sorry.
1.3, 1.385?
1.33 for Appleton.
Yeah, but I mean, what do those numbers mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. We look at our subs, and if we paid $60, if we were doing it ourselves, you multiply it times 1.33 factor to get, it was 1.41, and so we paid $81.78 per day. So we would take it and we would multiply it times 1.33 instead. And I haven't done that math, but it's lower than the $81.78 per day. Anyway.
So we're not obligated, this isn't requesting us to approve the changing from Kelly Services to Appleton.
This item does not, but Mr. Beasley's gonna come to you in just a second, and we can talk and answer questions on that, but this particular agreement just puts us where we can if we choose to. But we don't have to. It just makes us a part of that cooperative.
Any other questions? And superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4L, joint purchasing agreement for substitutes.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So item 4M is the substitute services bid, and Mr. Beasley, if you will share with us the information in the board report, because I wanted to look at every aspect of this.
That consortium is not a bad thing, because there is joint purchasing power for sure. The markup rate of 33% as opposed to 41% is pretty significant. That's what the bid came in. The Enterprise City Schools, who's headed this thing up, when they opened the bid, that was the markup, as Ms. Ellis stated a while ago. And I think, is everybody clear on how that works? Today, we pay 41% markup for subs, CMP, custodians, teachers, whatever, and 50% markup for nurses. And this Appleton rate through the consortium is 38%, 33% rather, for everything. Okay? for substitutes. So, in addition to that, Appleton has a time management system. Angie, we're into a good bit of money, and I don't know the exact dollar amount that we pay annually to AOD to manage our employees.
We pay per employee through AOD Gory Reagan, and we pay a little bit more per administrator. This roll call system is included as a part of this package, but monthly we pay to Gory Reagan about $984. This is supposed to be completely included, which could save us close to an additional $12,000. It's almost like wow, you know.
It just makes
almost have
sense
give
to
them a
look at
shot.
this and give it a shot. Back when we were one of the very first in Southeast Alabama to go with Kelly Services for substitutes, and quite frankly, at HR meetings and other places around the state, I've gotten them a lot of business, but they're not willing to get right on the money, if that makes sense. And when you factor those two things together, the lower rate, markup rate, plus we can use their time management system for all of our employees at no additional cost, that's a win for us.
Do you know a system they use as Appleton?
Montgomery County's public
used it.
schools, Pelham used them, Coleman County and Coleman City. Dothan is toying with it, Enterprise is going with them. They probably have a third of the districts across Alabama. They're a young company that's growing. We talked with them last year about some of the outsourcing things.
A tiny bit of a concern that I have is just how smoothly it flows from Kelly to Gory Reagan and then automatically from Gory Reagan to NextGen. This roll call system with Appleton is relatively new. They just got it up and running in January. I have not personally spoken to any systems yet that are running it and managing it in that way. I'm willing to give it a shot, but am worried that we could see some kinks in our automation that we currently have in this transition.
That is a bit of a concern. And too, we had some kinks when we changed from Tamis, I think it was, to Gory Reagan. So it just sometimes it takes just a little bit. For $20,000 annually, it's worth taking a shot. This agreement will have a 30-day out clause for us. If we're not satisfied, we can notify them in writing.
At any time?
Yes, at any time.
Which is what we have to do with Kelly
Right.
Services.
Kelly is the same thing, so that'll be the first thing I do in the morning, Angie and I will do, and is draft a letter for the superintendent to sign, to send to Kelly, notifying them. They know, because I've had some conversations with them, but we have to do that officially. I spoke last week and then again today with the Appleton people, that they understand that we start school August 1st, and this thing's got to be up and running. This time management thing has got to be up and running by August 1st. And
Billy Lawrence Chevrolet is your home for great deals and real savings on both new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. Right now, choose their great selection of GM certified vehicles that come with a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty. And their service department has trained technicians that can service and repair your vehicle. Hurry into Billy Lawrence Chevrolet on Highway 431 South.
has assured me that if they can transition Montgomery Public Schools, which is huge, in 20 days, they can transition us by August 1st. So, any other questions?
The superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4M, the substitute services bid.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
4N is the staff outsourcing bid. I also asked Mr. Beasley and Ms. Ellis wanted to make sure we were looking at something total that didn't get us right back where we were with custodians, because that's, when you hear outsourcing, that's what you think about. So I asked them to ask Mr. Beasley to share the difference in this board agenda item.
Before I get into that, Angie just made a very valid point. There may be, perhaps needs to be a motion to cancel services with Kelly
Okay.
and with Gory Ray.
All right.
So if you could just roll that all into
Okay.
that last
Into M.
item, I guess would be okay.
Ms. Webb,
Effective when
30 days from.
in agreement with the contract.
Mhm.
30 days from tomorrow.
Okay, the superintendent recommends that in item M, that we amend it to include the cancellation of Kelly services in agreement with their contract, which is 30 days.
And
And
Gordon.
And Gory Reagan. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I apologize for not thinking of that ahead at the time.
Is there a system in place, John, where you, Appleton will have access to the, people that Kelly has already, that we've been using?
Yes, we'll have to send out a notice. We owe that to those people. And it's pretty easy to sign up with them. That's done electronically, and they'll do their training and onboarding, and it's a fairly painless process. But yeah, they're gonna be interested in the people that work for Kelly, for sure. They will want to. I can say that with all certainty. Okay, next item.
Item 4N is the staff outsourcing bid.
Last summer, or actually in summer of 14, there was a presentation made at a work session in here that we were asking the board to consider outsourcing certain categories of employees. At that time, we were looking at paraprofessionals, CMP workers, clerical positions, and perhaps some custodians. And the main focus there is cost savings. Mr. Wingate and I had some conversation about where's the real savings, and it's in some of the benefits that we as an employer would not have to pay. We put that out for bid. None of the two companies bid, Appleton and Kelly Services. Neither met the specs. Kelly had some liability insurance concerns that about put Mr. Meadows over the edge in dealing with their corporate attorneys. I will share, I will not say publicly what his thoughts were on that, but, and then Appleton, Mr. Hill, you and I had a conversation, and subsequently the entire board, that if we do this, what about retirement? And one of the specs was a 401k type something for these outsourced employees. At the time, Appleton didn't have that. So Kelly was disqualified because they didn't have the insurance coverage that we wanted. Appleton was disqualified because they didn't have the 401k thing. So we just threw them all out. Well, now we've redone it. Appleton does have 401k. They did, of course, the Affordable Health Care Act in play. Everybody has to provide health insurance. And you can see on the first page of the agenda report that just kind of a summary. We did send out the proposal again, and we had 3 applicants, only one, or 3 respondents, only one met all of the criteria. And those were included health insurance, 401k, liability coverage is specified, and I think that was included later on over in the packet. a caveat that ECS retains control of who's employed in these positions. It's not going to be like outsourcing like we have been doing with hiring a company. We're still going to have control over who the people are. The vendor would send us a list. I know we're looking at custodians, 240-day custodians that we're wanting to start July 5th. Principal kind of chomping at the bit. You know, they're ready to pull the trigger. We would send the name of the person they want to Appleton or to the low, whoever gets the bid, and that's who would be employed. So we're going to maintain control. We're going to maintain supervision. So if there's a downside, Mr. Wingate, you accountants understand this. There's a shared employment issue. But the money that's left on the table, I think it's a risk reward, and in my opinion, the risk
I mean, even
is
with having gone
thwarted
through,
by the reward.
even with having gone through the outsourcing fiasco we just went through.
Yes, because it's a whole different set of parameters. It's a whole different thing. We're not outsourcing with a cleaning company. We're outsourcing with a staffing company to provide us employees. We supervise the employee, we select the employees, and we supervise the employees.
Can I just say, can I just have a few minutes to kind of say some stuff? 'Cause I have really took some time. I just really thought over this issue here. And I do have concerns with it. And if I can, Chairman, I do know that it's you guys' responsibility to come to us with cost saving to try to save wherever we can. But my problem lies here is that it seems like whenever we want to make cuts or make savings, it always affects the little guy. And I have a concern with it because we done did the outsourcing, and it didn't pan out. And the savings, I understand you're talking about a little less than $100,000. But what about the benefactor in terms of these employees being solely our employees? And I said that to say this because just a couple of weeks ago, this board met and the state said we're going to give employees a 4% pay raise. And this administration came to this board and it says only people that are making $75,000 above get a 2% raise. Well, this administration came to this board and said, well, let's give everybody a 4% raise. This board said, okay, we did that. Okay. And I thought, and I just kept, it just been bugging me. I couldn't halfway enjoy my school reunion this weekend for thinking about this off and on. And I just want to say on a personal note, I sit on this board with a doctorate with the superintendent, a medical doctor here, a CPA, a RN, a lawyer, and then myself. And I'm a retired employee with the state of Alabama. And I came up through the ranks. I started as an orderly. And I was fortunate enough to climb the ladder and get ahead and went back and got an associate degree and was able to get retire with a nice salary and a nice retirement. I was fortunate. But I look at these custodians and paraprofessionals and what we paying them and then the benefit that the school is offering all the other employees. And then I'm saying we want to take that away from them, and save a few dollars. But they are just as important to me because it takes the saying that says it takes a village to raise a child. Well, we need those paraprofessionals. We need those custodians. we don't know how those custodians touch some of these student lives. We just, you can hear some story from students, and I know my granddaughter, I know she called him Coach Brown. That guy just has a way with students. But I'm just saying that I think there comes a point where we have to say that, okay, we all on board for all the employees, regardless, and let's bite the bullet and keep these employees. I could, if the law called me today or right now, I can close my eyes and know that my wife will be taken care of because of the state retirement. She will continue to get my check as long as she lives. Those type benefactors. Do you understand what I'm trying to say, boy? Is that it does matter to these people, and and I'm an advocate for them because I know what it's like and I know what it means, And so I'm imploring the board to really think on this thing and say, is it worth it? Are we true to all employees, or are we just true to a select number of employees? Is all I'm asking. And just think on it,
Would this affect the current employees?
It would not. Positions would be filled through attrition.
I thought,
So the $98,000 in savings is based upon the 10-year cycle when they're all off and we have all new ones?
No,
Or
that's based on what's posted today.
what's posted today?
Yes, sir.
I thought at a couple board meetings back that we agreed to hire our own employees too.
On the custodians, yes.
Yes.
The agreement was to get away from contracting with a company to do the cleaning. And this is different from that. We're not contracting with the company to do the cleaning or do the meal preps or whatever. We're contracting with a company to provide us with employees whom we would supervise to do the cleaning.
Where will the employees come from?
Most likely they will come from our applicant pool. I can't imagine.
Locally?
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely locally.
John, do you have any idea of what the difference in the benefit package is from Appleton versus Eufaula City Schools?
The health insurance has a little bit higher deductible, not a lot would, but it's less than $100 difference. The 401k, those things kind of vary with the market, so you can't exactly say what the benefit would be. I do know that there's a match. It's a dollar for dollar match up to 7% with Appleton, and for every dollar that Appleton or the employee contributes up to $7, the Appleton matches it for a dollar for dollar, but there's no limit, as I understand, on the top end as far as what the employee could contribute. And don't think I'm anti support for a classified employee. I'm not, because I'm not from here, y'all. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth by any stretch. So I understand that, but I do have an obligation to look at financial things.
I do appreciate that. I understand that, but
present for your consideration. And that's where I am. And
I appreciate that, but I still hold steadfast to the fact that I think it comes to a point that we need to be consistent with the entire across the board with our employees, because they are our employees, and they are subject to us, and we are responsible to them.
Well, not only that, we're the largest employer in the city.
And we are.
And so we impact numerous families in this town, and I'm kind of like you. I think I don't know the difference in the benefits package, but I guarantee it's less than what state benefits are.
Right.
I'd rather us
That's
be
really-
responsible for them.
Yeah.
That's what I thought we had already approved.
We had talked
Yeah.
about that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right, with item 4N, it sounds like that we don't even, we will leave that there, table it, or, and move to 4O. Is that, Ms. Webb?
If the
Is that-
superintendent's not having a recommendation.
Okay.
Make number of recommendation.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So they're training, it's on-the-job training.
All right.
Thank you. 4O is the CSFO contract, and we sent Friday in the packet to you, the CSFO contract, and I will take responsibility. I think it was up in March, and I was trying to figure out where things were. And so we have gotten with Mr. Meadows, and so the only change from what we sent you Friday is in section 8, and it's basically the new verbiage for the being indemnified based on the Educators Liability Trust Fund. That's the only thing, because he worked with us on this contract, and then plugged in that verbiage for us in section 8. Still has it, it's just new verbiage with that new trust fund. Any questions on item 4O?
Did she work for free since March?
Isn't that wonderful?
She works for free.
Yeah.
That's mighty nice of you.
And I take full responsibility for that, for it being delayed a few months.
Well, it worked out good though, because it's gonna be on the same cycle as everyone else.
Okay.
Superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4O, the CSFO contract.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4P, the athletic activities, you'll see again, various athletic activities going on. Fundraiser, the Coke fundraiser, volleyball fundraiser with the donuts. Very busy summer with our athletic activities. Any questions? The superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4P, the athletic activities.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
4Q is personnel. You have for you the personnel recommendations. And the second sheet, remember, are those stipends that you approved, the actual training that these teachers would be going to, and then based on their signing in and attending, that's what this is, that they will receive these stipends based on actually attending the events that you approved last month. Any questions, personnel? Can't tell if Mr. Wingate's studying or, okay. Not, the superintendent recommends that the board approve item 4Q, personnel.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there any other business to come before the board tonight? Can I have a motion for adjournment?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Stand adjourned.
Thank y'all for hanging in.
Can I say one thing before everybody scatters?
Yes.
One of the items on personnel, she don't make the public know of. It's more for the deal. Darrell Jernigan is coming to work with us.
Yeah, we saw that.
Teaching at the middle school, and will be on our coaching staff.
We promise you, Coach Jernigan, that we don't always have these meetings this long, so thank you for bearing with us. And also, I do want to make sure y'all know that Mr. Watkins is here with us tonight. He doesn't start till July the 1st, which would be the 5th, because we don't work on Fridays, but I made him come on in for the retreat. I didn't make him, but, I like free labor, so he's starting early. So, Mr. Watkins, after the board meeting, if you want to come introduce yourself to the board members. And thank you again for your patience. A lot going on this summer. So. Oh. And we also have our new bookkeeper here replacing Miss Stanfield, Miss Moore. Miss Stanfield left us to go to Ozark, where she is close to. I think she's been driving. So she got married.
3 hours a day.
Opelika, thank you. All those O's. Ozark, Opelika. Thank y'all again for your patience. I'll see you, CO people tomorrow at 7:30. 7:30. Yes.
Welcome to Old Mexico. Old Mexico features great food, an adult beverage bar, and nightly specials in our family restaurant. Happy hour is from 4:30 until 7 p.m., 6 days a week. Our phone number is 334-687-7770. Old Mexico, located at 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Hours are 11 to 2 and 4:30 until 9 Monday through Wednesday. Open till 10 on Thursday through Saturday and 11 until 9 p.m. on Sunday. Old Mexico features the best authentic Mexican food with banquet and large party room that can be reserved. Old Mexico, unique to Eufaula, 1248 South Eufaula Avenue. Old Mexico, celebrating 24 years of business by owners Santiago and Salome Solerio.